A portfolio update, guys. Gold's up about $100 since my last video. I mean, I wonder whether I should cover yields, but to be honest, yields, in my opinion, they're just creeping higher constantly, higher highs, higher lows. But with what's going on in the Middle East, bonds can get bid any moment. They have been a little bit last 1 or 2 days. And I don't think it really affects the gold market. I think gold, obviously, gold's just stormed higher regardless of anything, regardless of bonds, regardless of the dollar. As you can see, I'm going to start off by looking at the DXY because that's what gold has been most sensitive to for the last couple of months. Even look at this massive move up, and we've seen gold go down. So actually, it's yields and the markets that have been less relevant. Obviously, everything has some influence, but let's just look at the DXY. So we're in a very important period here. I think the DXY has had a nice move up. It's lost its ascending support. Yes, it bounced back because of a bit of news, because of geopolitics, but I think macroeconomic, I think it's done. You know, I think, yes, we could retest the 107. We could even have a little mini blowout move to 108, but I don't think the DXY has what it takes to keep going to the 110 zone. Obviously, I could be wrong. We could have a market crash and DXY is bid. We've seen that before, 2008. And then gold will probably go back down again. But gold's a bit complicated because we've obviously got war. I mean, not just Middle Eastern war, we've got the Ukraine war. Remember, war never sustains a move up. You've got this initial reflexive surge higher, and eventually, and actually not even eventually, but quite soon after, it retraces. So we're going to take a look at gold, obviously, because that's the point of this portfolio. I'm going to be covering the gold and silver holdings, but just to recap DXY, we've had this big move up. It's lost its ascending, let's say, technical pattern. It reclaimed it, but it reclaimed it quite well, let's be honest, especially this massive move here on Thursday. But I just feel like we're going to retest again, maybe make a little bit of a move higher and roll over. I think we need to retrace back down to this zone, 104, if not lower. So although the DXY still looks good, it's reclaimed ascending, closed pretty much near high of day and reclaimed the ascending. I just feel like it's a bit tired. It should be a bit tired. So I'm a little weary about the DXY strength here, which would bode very well for the gold and silver market. Now let's look at gold and silver. So obviously gold did very well. Look at this, close at high of day. Unbelievable move here from pretty much 1810-ish all the way up to 1930. $120. That's just incredible stuff in a couple of trading days. Close near high of day. Obviously, this is pricing in some escalation in the Middle East during the weekend. Have we got it? A little bit, yeah. Hezbollah is starting to join the fight. We've got some serious casualties, civilian casualties, and that's that could be enough for regional powers to get in. So far, nothing completely alarming, but I mean, gold should be way higher anyway, so I think this is justified. But still, we've had a crazy move, and just think of it technically. For me, the news is one thing, but I always look at things technically. We had a breakdown. We bounced from all the way here. Now, normally you're supposed to make it to, let's be honest, 1885 maximum. Maybe you overshoot to 1900. And then you come back down again. Now we've gone even higher. Okay, everything gets dramatized. But normally, this should come back down again. If it keeps going up, it's very abnormal looking stuff. Now, that's allowed, in trading, anything can happen, especially when it's news related, especially surprise wars. So, we could have a continuation, but just generally speaking, I would anticipate a move back down again. Sorry. Anyway, it could go up, could go down, but I start to nibble a little bit out just towards the close, just at my miners. So, and it's just, stuff that I bought all the way down here, of course. So I didn't want to sell up here. I'm acting more long term now than just nibbles, especially when it's coming from lows, especially some of the miners I'm buying. They're so cheap. I don't want to sell them too cheap because the miners didn't move up as much as gold, relatively speaking. We'll take a look at the miners, but I did nibble a little bit out. Let's see, gold's closed so strong and so close to, and maybe above this descending, that it could just go straight to 1950 like a magnet on Monday. Who knows what happens Sunday, by the way. And if it gets really dramatic, straight up to 1980. But 1980s is extreme resistance, in my opinion. You're not allowed to really go through that. But 2000 is zero resistance. You know, once you start crossing the 1988, you know, this area here, you're probably going to go to 2022 or 2020 rather. So, but I expect serious resistance here and mini resistance here on 1950. So 1950 and especially 1980. But where we are should be resistance. And to be honest, it closed pretty much there easily. So very, very strong. Let's see what happens. Let's look at silver. Silver is equally impressive, but it, you know, although it was up more percentage wise on the day, like 4%, silver should be more. I mean, when gold's up 3.5%, 3.5% is absolutely historic stuff. So, you know, you'd expect silver to be 5-6%, and it wasn't, but whatever, still a good day. Reclaiming this ascending. It's pretty hard to call the technicals actually for silver. I think it's better to just read gold. Actually, what I would say is next resistance is 23.5. If it starts to take that out, then 25. I don't see 24 as any resistance at all. So 23.5 and then 25. After that, there's no point. You're probably talking about gold crossing the 2000 mark, and then it's time to zoom out and look, you know, obviously 26, 27, 28, and then we're looking at 30. So, but on the way down, and you know, for me, the way down is something that it depends on the geopolitics, you know, but normally you'd expect to move back down again. It's hard to call for silver. I'd be looking at gold, but you know, just under 22 should be support. And after that, depends how long it takes, but you should find serious support just above 20. I'd say between 20.5 and 20, this entire zone here should be extreme support, because now we're talking about an ascending that dates back from all the way here to extremely strong ascending support around here. 20 is a big psychological number, also a bit of a horizontal level. So silver just above 20 should be extremely strong, so much so that it probably coincides with this level here. So that's the support for silver. I don't see silver going that far down. Gold, by the way, I would say I don't think 1900 is much support. You know, once you start to retrace, there might be a lot of people just getting out thinking, okay, here comes the big retracement. And I just feel like it will go lower than 1900. So 1885, you know, because that was support over here. It was also resistance on the first day that we popped up all the way over here. So I feel like 1885 is the first support. Then this sort of 1855, 1860 zone mini support. But then after that, really 1820, just above the last low. Because I forgot to mention that. Right, let's look at the miners. Miners obviously moved with the metals rather than down with the markets. That's good. GDX was stronger than GDXJ, I would say. Nice bounce, closed above the descending. Very strong, very good. It could have been stronger, actually, but still not bad. But it's good to see it follow the metals rather than the markets. Next resistance is 30. After that, 30, 31 point something, 31.8, 32. We'll see about that. Let's just close above 30 before we talk about the next level. On the way back down, it's pretty hard to call, but I would say, you know, this zone here, roughly, let's say just below 27.5-ish. And after that, yeah, 26-ish. That's for the GDX, GDXJ, same sort of thing. It's a little weaker. You'd really want to see it start testing 35. It's probably starting to test it descending, maybe 36. I may even place that here. It's more short term. So that 35, 36. But by the time you're testing 36, you're out of this descending. And what's GDX doing by then, right? It's probably all the way up here. So that will look very bullish. So that's probably enough to keep going. On the way down, you got these horizontal levels. Right, now that that's out of the way, let's look at the portfolio. Right, Newmont did very well during the week. Very well, outperforming the others. But then not the best Friday. Now, this is a red candle, but it had a green day, right? Up 1.5%. But, you know, look at some of the others. Very, very strong. So Newmont, I was pretty disappointed, but 40 is obvious resistance to me. I said it a while ago. You can see why. Well, I hope you can see why. You know, prior support, resistance a bit. You can see the support. But also think about it. We came from all the way down here. 40 is a big round number. It is resistance from a horizontal point of view. And look at this descending, probably the most important. It coincides roughly with 40. So psychological, longer term descending, and horizontal. 3 reasons, 40. And it did on that day. I didn't have a sell in. To be honest, if I did, I would have had it allowed like at 39.89. It would have just missed it. I wasn't paying attention to Newmont actually at the time or the whole day. So, and to be honest, I'm wondering whether I should even settle for selling Newmont. Like I know it's a zone of resistance, but it doesn't mean I should sell it. It's just so cheap, you know. Like what if gold and silver, and I don't actually think it's going to happen immediately, but what if gold, silver, and the miners keep going? You know, you're going to see Newmont in a couple of months all the way up here, you know, and testing for the big skies at 80. What am I doing selling, trimming here what I bought all the way down here? Like, yeah, it's a good trade, but sometimes I don't know, I just feel like not selling it, even though I know it's a level of resistance. So even though I missed it, it's also because I didn't feel like selling it down there. You know, it's just I prefer to paper trade this one. But anyway, there you go. That's what I feel. I feel like Newmont just under 40 is resistance. That's what happened on Friday. And you know, retracement, yeah, 38. No, this is the same level. Don't need that anymore. I would say roughly 38-ish. After that, I'd probably be looking at gold, silver, and the miners. It's not that obvious, you know, round numbers maybe. So 38, and after that, let's see. Obviously, 35 would be support if we do venture all the way back down there, where I will add more. Barrick Gold, much better move compared to Newmont on Friday. Otherwise, I don't know which one's outperformed because Newmont's done probably better. But a bit like Newmont, look, if we keep going, look at this level here, just above 16, you know, there's a mini gap. There's also this descending that's coming into play, and you're not really allowed to go all the way back up to the, you know, to the horizontal level so easily. So I would say, you know, just under 1650, 1620, 1650, another 50-cent move, and you might encounter a bit more resistance. Again, does that correspond with GDX moving to its next resistance? So always look at the gold and I wouldn't even look at silver. I'd have gold, GDX, which I have. I always have gold and GDX. I don't actually have silver up, and the markets, you know, like Nasdaq. But for me, resistance is this zone, mini resistance there, and then obviously 1680, the last pivot all the way up here, and then these areas. So I might as well just draw that in. You know, it's obvious to me on the day, but yeah. So 16 sort of 40s, this gap, that horizontal, and then we keep going on the way down. Yes, this zone here. I guess I'll leave the lines in. Again, maybe GDX is better, but good bounce, you know, and also good move on Friday compared to Newmont. Agnico, very similar, these ones here, you know, big, nice bounce. Again, very close to this descending and the horizontal. So what, 50, look at that big number, just like Newmont 40. Might as well call it there. So I would say just a little higher, 49. Actually, I think Agnico I trimmed a little bit. Agnico was one of the ones I trimmed, and it's actually my favorite stock. I think I regretted trimming it as soon as I did it. So I think I'm hoping for a bit of a pullback. So I might not sell it at 50 or just below 50 because I already sold it there. I think I sold it for this move here. This 48.89 or something. I probably sold it. I forgot. It's the same thing as selling where it closed actually. But yeah, I think just under 50, it gets a little higher. You should encounter stronger resistance. After that, to be honest, if it clears 50, closes above 50, that's it. I don't think this counts here. This 51 level, I think it goes straight to 53-ish, 54. So Agnico-Eagles look strong, but you know, still you need the sector to go up with you. You need gold and silver. You can't just have Agnico doing its own thing on its own. So dependent on the sector, otherwise maybe a little more upside. On the way down, I'd probably follow the lines that are in. So small support at 47-ish, very small, very small. Probably go straight through it with another day follow through. And then 45-ish, yeah, it's kind of a round number and rough support. And then the prior low down here. Pan American Silver, yeah, I remember this chart looked really bad on that Thursday, and then look. So this is obviously closing near high of day, closing near resistance, prior support. But I feel like this has more follow through. If we have a little continuation in gold and silver, this should really make up ground. I think 16 is a nice level, nice round number, nice support, and I know, look here, sorry, nice resistance gap to close. So 16, maybe even just below 16, maybe 1580 is the level. very, very zoomed in type of support and resistance here. So this gap may be a bit of resistance. Otherwise, clearly 17 is resistance. So that's Pan American Silver, but very good, you know, because it got absolutely crushed the day before. So a nice 7% move to make up for it. That's what it needed. Otherwise, it was going to visit the lows very quickly. So, and look where we are. Zoom out. You know, is that really worth a sell? I didn't touch Pan American Silver. Very happy to see it go up because I got quite a lot in it. But you know, this even $17 is not really a sell. You probably shouldn't sell until you're approaching 20. To be honest, this is a good stock. It's got a good future, in my opinion. And nibbling down here is, you know, picking up pennies in front of a steam train. But I like picking up pennies and always dodging the steam train. But I don't know, the last couple of days, weeks, I just think with what's going on, I feel like the Fed is going to change its mind soon. The war, I mean, gold is just the place to be. Why sell a stock so good down here when it could easily, in 1 year from now, be all the way up here? So I'm starting to take a bit more of an investor's viewpoint on the miners, let's say. A very good close of Pan American Silver and a definite continuation possible next week if the metals will allow. Wheaton never went down too much. It's one of those stocks that just very good defensively on the way down, and it did it there. Look at that. Clear support zones that held. I mean, clear, right? Why would a stock just all of a sudden find support here? Well, because of this. You know, it's not magic. Technicals work. They generally help. And here we have our continuation. I see no clear resistance here. Obviously, you can just level off and go back down if the sector does, if the metals do. We know the metals are at resistance, like gold, descending. But, you know, for whatever reason, if the metals keep going up, Wheaton should find no resistance until 44, 45, in my opinion. Closer to 45. So it looks good. You know, it looks good for continuation if the metals will allow. On the way down, the horizontal levels should be support. Small support at 41. Otherwise, very strong support just around 39. But for Wheaton to go back down to 39, a bit like the others, you really need to have gold and silver sort of lose most of its move of this week. So, you know, gold going down to the low 1800s, it's hard to imagine. So it looks, I'm quite happy holding Wheaton. I haven't bought any down here, haven't sold any in a long time. I'm just holding it. It's quite relaxing, to be honest. Mag Silver, one that I thought would have made up more ground by now because it had very good earnings a long time ago, actually, back down here. But, you know, it had to go down with the sector as usual. But it didn't go down too much compared to the others. I just thought it would go up more. At least we have this very good close compared to the last couple of candles. For me, there's no resistance until the descending. And also around 1180, so maybe just a little above the descending in case it breaks through, in case not many people have identified the same one I've seen. You know, in case this isn't resistance, then just a little bit higher should be just below 12. So let's say 1180, 1160 to 1180 should be resistance. And if we keep breaking out of that, then 1250 and then 1350. Yeah, that makes sense. But for that, you obviously in gold and silver to go a bit higher. If we go back down again, honestly, I see no support until pretty much 10, just below 10. This doesn't count anymore. Yeah, and if we go lower than that, we'll see. But obviously for that, we need total failure in the gold and silver market. I don't see that happening next week. Fortuna. Yeah, this is a bit disappointing, you know, that it gave back so much towards the end. But look, it's $3 psychological number, not the most obvious resistance, but that's what it was on Friday. For me, once we close above 3, we start heading to 330, 320, actually, not 330, 320. I'm getting mixed up with Coeur d'Alene here. So Fortuna, you know, it was the psychological number that was resistance. But look, it cleared this mini descending. It did well to make up for that Thursday. A lot of the silver stocks got destroyed on Thursday, so that's nice to see. So yeah, first stop is a close above 3. After that, 320, and after that, it's gonna take a lot to go all the way up to 390, but 390 For that, you need obviously every assisting sector to be helping out quite well. EXK, that did okay. I mean, what's it doing all the way down here after the move we've had in gold, right? I think some of these silver stocks have a long way to run. Next stop, horizontal over here, 276-ish. Makes sense, right? Look at this, support, resistance, textbook stuff. Even where it is here is prior support, and then resistance on the way up. It totally, just totally makes sense. These technicals, these are pure standard horizontal levels of support and resistance. In case we do start to close above 250, EXK can start making its move up to 275-ish. This one, the number's not obvious, but I don't think it's 280. I don't think it's 270. So 275-ish, give or take 1 or 2 cents. And if we keep going higher, 3. Nice round number. It also happens to be resistance and mini support from over here. So these horizontal levels are completely correct in my opinion. I'll leave them. If we do go back down, then it's obviously the old low. That goes without saying for all the other stocks that I may have forgotten to say that for. Nope, whoops. So, pure horizontal levels there. AG, First Majestic. I mean, this is just another one, but like Pan American Silver. What is it doing all the way down here? Yeah, do I really want to trim a little bit here, a little 5%, 10%, buy it back there? Sometimes I can't be bothered, But here, the resistance line for me, the next one, this long-term one here is just annoying because it's too nearby. So it should be a general support and resistance. So I'm not going to use it as a resistance. And honestly, I don't feel like trading this, even for big swings. Like these look small when you zoom out, but these are, 10, 20, maybe even more percent swings from the lows. Yeah, 10, 20, pretty much 20. It's just not worth it still though. So for me, this descending, look at this descending, long-term descending. It's not very accurate. Look at this here. I'm missing this one, so I could be off. But the reason I went through here is because it sort of correlates with this one over here. So this is rough, this descending. But I do feel like if we start to close above 580 or 6 is not really a technical level of resistance. It's more a psychological one. But let's just say 586. By then, you're probably breaking out of this descending, no matter which way you draw it. I mean, even if you take into account this here, just imagine 6, okay, maybe 650. The point is, this is a very strong squeeze candidate. It's well known, and plus silver's probably doing its thing. Gold might be at 1980 plus if you're starting to squeeze 650, and 650, by the way, look at this resistance here on the horizontal. So imagine you close above 580, you're squeezing past 650, some back and forth, the resistance, and then bam, you go back up, close above 650. This thing can squeeze, really, I feel. So yeah, I'm not up for trimmings. I mean, obviously gold and silver could retrace next week, and then AG is down 3-4%. You regret it, but I just feel like it's small moves, and we're at the absolute lows, and there's just no point. There you go. I didn't feel like, I sold a little bit on Friday, but it's small nibbles. It's really small nibbles. It's not 100% of what I bought at the lows around 1820 gold. Because I just feel like this, I'm in it for the longer run, the bigger win. I just feel like being more patient. So silver, nice close, not a high of day, but still decent close. Again, look where we were Thursday, right? We were talking about at the absolute lows again. And for sure, if we had another move low, it would have been flushing to new lows. And now I'm looking for 580. And after that, I don't see 6 much as resistance at all. I see it going straight to 640. And then we're talking about this descending. So First Majestic is a mini squeeze candidate. Talking of which, let's go look at Coeur d'Alene. Another one. Look at this little squeezy boy. Look at this descending. A lot clearer. Right, it doesn't stretch out that far back. So I don't have to take into account too many candles. So this is quite clear. For me, it was all about closing above this 240 zone. The last couple of areas, last couple of candles that were around here. We clearly did that. We immediately touched the next level. Prior support, prior resistance, support from down here. Horizontal levels are very, very clear in my opinion. They're the best ones sometimes. So we tagged it, didn't close above it, didn't close at the high, but still very constructive stuff. We closed above the descending, very credible. We cleared the prior horizontal. This is mini horizontal stuff here at 240. Okay, we didn't clear 260, 265-ish, but that's tomorrow's. By tomorrow, I mean Monday. That's tomorrow, Monday's objective. You know, as long as gold and silver keep going up, we definitely have a chance in that. CDE is a strong candidate for squeezes, more so than First Majestic. I mean, look, it was up 12%, you know, even more at the high of day. So very, very good stuff. And CDE is such a buy. Look at this long-term stuff. I mean, where are we? I know it's not the best run company and all that, but if silver starts to, let's say gold starts going to 1980, 2000 plus, silver starts to do its 26, 27 thing. Everyone starts to look up and see $30. Then you think of the margins, the profitability, and I don't know all the little, you know, I don't follow all the balance sheets of all these stocks. I just know that CDE will make a lot of money. Like, things change, you know, the oh, what's the word called? Let's just say the profit margins just get magnified for CDE. You know, without knowing the detail, I know that happens to be a fact. So this will squeeze. If silver goes up a lot, this will start to squeeze. This will be repriced way higher. You know, I can imagine instead of 250 or 3, we're talking about 4 plus 5, 6, 7, double digits is possible. And from where we are here, that's a several 100% move. You know, and then you zoom out even more and you think, wow, 10 is really not asking that much. Now, I don't go into the dream world, oh, where was the old high of 2011 and all this. I understand that stock prices go down because there's a problem, you know, dilution or whatever. So I don't look at old highs and say, oh, this is a 100 bagger. And I hear people talk about 20, 50 baggers. It's ridiculous stuff. Even if it's true, it's ridiculous. I'm just looking at $10 and thinking that's the max, but that's crazy. But look, even 4. So for me, CDE, I trimmed a little bit, didn't I? I think I took out a tiny amount just on general principle because it was up the most out of all the holdings. And I've bought this area, literally this area, like 220 or something. Not the low, but pretty close. Just wanted to trim a little bit, you know, like half of what I bought down here because I bought it already. CDE, I own quite a lot of, but I'm looking for a close above 265, 270. And then what? What's your next resistance if you start closing above here on Monday? Then honestly, I see nothing go up, keep going up all the way up. Then maybe here you start at 330. I'm just so used to seeing 330 fail, closing above 330. So a rough resistance for me, 330. That's what I'm looking for. Close above 265-ish. I'm going to run to 330. If the sector, the metal helps, of course. DS Discovery Silver. This one underperformed. I don't know if there's news. I don't care about news. I mean, unless it's really significant. But if there was bad news, it would be down, I think. So for me, this is still a bit of a buy. But then again, what happens if the metals go down? If the miners go down, this is going to go to new lows. I still think it's a hell of a screaming buy long term, but I own enough. You know, I own enough, so I didn't buy any more. I think I bought 49 cents. Where are we? Where are we here? 40, well, pretty much where we are. So I bought where we are. I expected more. I expected definitely to be in the high 50s by now. We're not there. It could have a late run, and I think it definitely has to run if silver and gold keep going up, definitely. So this is a bit disappointing that it hasn't run that much. But long term, what a buy, what a buy. So next levels, look, you can see price support acted as resistance. So apparently 54 is resistance. I think we should be way past that already. After that, it's this descending, which let's imagine we start to scream up, probably coincide with the high up here. So I'll say 65-ish. Yeah, should coincide with this descending. Then 70, and then, well, yeah, then 77, but then you're probably squeezing. If you imagine you're all the way up here, zoom out, what does it look like? We've cleared this whole box area. We're starting to squeeze to 1. So once you start to close above 70, you're going to $1 very quickly. There's probably a good reason that you're at 70. It's probably not company specific. It's probably the whole sector, like gold and silver going wild. People will be tripping over themselves trying to buy this. So I'm holding Discovery for a big move higher. Aris Mining, I forgot to cover. I believe that's it. ARMN. I should have covered that earlier. This is formerly Grand Columbia. Normally I cover it way earlier. This one, honestly, it never went to new lows like the others because it had very good news. I missed this sell, which should have been very obvious. I missed it. But here we are, good day, up 4.5%. It's just got to, close above this 260, very, very mini resistance. I think you need the sector to keep going up. If it keeps going up next week, immediately above 260, and then this becomes very strong resistance. You got this descending, and you got the horizontal, which definitely is resistance. So you should be selling just before. So for me, 269, I think I have a selling at 269. Now, if you close above 280, that would be amazing, because another candidate where when you zoom out, you can see the potential, but don't get too crazy about the zoom out. There's a reason behind that. Big drop. It's just a company that's supposed to go bankrupt, which never did. Now it's well run. That's my understanding. So 269 mini sell and then leave it. And if it closes above 280, it should squeeze to 310, 340. Let me put those in because I like to just see it immediately when I open the chart. 310, and also it's just easier for you guys. 340, and then the next one. These horizontals are just so credible in my opinion. So there you go, 269, then leave it, 281, boom, all the way up to 310, straight past 3. Forget this gap fill, no one cares. And then keep going. So on the way down, I mean, just roughly the last low, 220 and then 2. I'm not even going to put it there. I bought this low a while ago, actually, so I wouldn't even buy anyway. So finally, 2 more. K92. Now, this one, I don't know what happened on this day. There must have been bad news. So, or was it actually that a lot of stocks went down, right, on that Thursday? It just flushed. It was very weak compared to the others, flushed, and then totally made up for it the next day. But look, we're totally undervalued relative to the sector and the other stocks that have made up quite a lot of ground. So K92, you zoom out, I had these horizontal levels in before. To be honest, it flushed to the middle of between two different horizontals. So I don't know why it stopped there. I don't know if it was very liquid. I don't really care, to be honest. Now it's back where it was the day before. So I'm not buying, I'm not selling. This is one of my very weak holdings. It's just one I chased actually a long time ago because it was underperforming the sector when I thought the sector was going to continue breaking out. I think this resistance 660-ish is the next strong level of resistance. To get there, it needs the sector to really keep going. So I wouldn't be surprised if it goes back down again, if the sector just starts to retrace, because it feels like it wanted to flush down to a new level. I don't know. I'm just holding, just trading the ranges. Like if it goes up here, I might nibble a bit out because that's a big move coming from all the way down here. If it starts to fade a little bit with the sector, I'll probably wait for it to make a new low for 450 or something. We'll see. I don't even know what to do with this one. I'm just holding. It's very, very light stuff. So, I might just hold it for the long term and sell it when it goes all the way up because I still think that's what they will all do. Gogold, another one like K92 that I bought late. This one's held up relatively well. I don't know if I've added to it. If I did, it was very weak because it already was very weak. So I'd probably double the position. It's still weak compared to the others. Not the best Friday at all. You'd expect more. It's just sideways down. So this is just one that I expect to eventually, especially if gold starts to take out 2000, just get bid up. And then once it starts to close above the descending, keep descending, probably 130 is what it really needs to clear, because it hasn't done that in months. Then it starts to squeeze, towards 2. This is not one I'm going to hold long term. It's just one I chased late because it just wasn't squeezing like the others. So this one on K92, I don't care what happens to them. Very small amount in them. And yeah, so I'm just holding. I don't really cover them that much. Metalla royalty is one that I introduced very recently around 294-ish. And actually it's below that price right now. Very disappointed in its lack of pump. You know, I expected with with what's happened the last 2, 3 trading days that it just at least goes to 350. So I don't understand that. Maybe it's just broken down technically, and maybe that's all it is. It just broke down technically, but honestly, $100 gold pump plus, and it's gone down. That's weird. So, but again, very small amount in this one, so I really don't care. It's one that I just added on the drop. It's my first nibble into it. So normally I do 3, 4, 5, 6 nibbles into a stock until it becomes a decent amount, and that's if I believe it. But just on one nibble, and I'm happy I did that because so far not impressed. Well, might as well just cover next resistance for me would be prior support. So of course 340-ish, maybe a bit higher. And after that, it's probably the descending. Obviously, this horizontal is clear prior support, so it should be clear clear resistance on the way up. And then this level, why did I put that? Just because that's where it broke out of from over here. So, but it could actually be, and it's a big round number, 250. So the levels that you see are the support and resistance that I believe in. Finally, Eldorado, which I don't own, just covering it for someone. This one here bounced nicely off support. That was good to see. And went into resistance. Look at this, the descending. Closed pretty much at the descending. Popped its head above, but it's all about the close, and the close pretty much like gold at 1932. That's also on its descending. So I think it's done quite well to follow the technicals. What's the next resistance? This up here, 1020. Yeah, and it's finding resistance just below 10. So close above 1020, and you could start to run to 11 and then 1150. And by the time you're 1150, you're starting to encounter this descending. So I guess I would do something like this. The mini level at 11. Again, this is if you want to machine gun your way out of a trade. Just small nibbles. One where we are, one a little higher, one a little higher, and one a little higher. And then once you start to close above this descending, could do one at 12. Then you just leave it for 14, squeeze. But that's how I do it, you know, really small little nibbles, little 5%, little 2.5%, 2.5%, just something so that if it goes back down, you're happy. And you buy it back straight away, or you double. And you know, imagine you sell 2.5% there, you buy 5% there, and then you sell 7.5% there, whatever. Lots of ways of doing it, but it's like more of a psychological, sometimes more of a psychological trade than an actual monetary one. But it should be both. Okay, very long video, very sorry. I hope that covers it. I sort of went into a bit more detail this time, I think. I'll leave it there. You know, let's see what happens. Gold and silver, if they continue, it's simply because of the war, because of the Middle Eastern escalation. If it goes down, it's because it was way over the top, especially on Friday. And again, gold being bid up based on war never sustains itself, especially after a couple of trading days, like a couple of weeks. You know, you get a couple of days. Again, Ukraine war is ideal example. And then people who are chasing just end up underwater for months. So, but still, I think gold and silver belong way higher just on fundamental macro reasons. So even if you bought at the top, just hold out. It should be, I think you should be rewarded relatively soon, but you may encounter some retracement in gold and silver next week because it's just a bit too much. But let's see what happens to the dollar. You know, I think the dollar could retrace soon, and that should light a little fire under gold and silver. So there's so many moving parts. I don't know. That's why you just look at the technicals, and that's where you would sell if it keeps going. That's where you buy if it goes down. You know what you own, know why you own it, know how much you'll sell if it goes here, or how much you'll buy if it goes there, and just act like a robot. And otherwise, good luck and enjoy the rest of the weekend.